Hey everybody, this is going to be a card in my Valentines series. This is a stamp, a background stamp from Hampton Arts that I was sent by Little Blue Bicycle. I had won a challenge of hers, and this fun background stamp is awesome. I just love those wonky hearts as a background. They're perfect. So I'm stamping them in some Lovely Brilliance pale pink ink, which is shimmery and beautiful and shows up well on the craft paper because it's pigment ink. And I've got that background all stamped, and I've got that little paper doily that I think I got from Michael's. This stamp set is one I've had for a while. I think it was a crepe paper stamp set. I don't know, but that's a library card. And I'm going to stamp that in Timber Brown StazOn ink on vellum. And the reason I'm using the StazOn is because it's on vellum and that'll dry better on vellum because it's a slick surface. So I stamp it off first because I don't want it really dark. And then I stamp it on the vellum. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat set it because even though it stays on the vellum, it's still a little bit wet. We don't want it to be wet. Okay. That is some Recollections Pearl Sapphire embossing powder. And this is the other stamp she sent me, which says, it's a Hero Arts stamp that says Sending Love. And I stamp that in the sapphire and emboss it. Then there's a heart in that same collection that's kind of a text background heart, and I'm going to stamp it twice with the sapphire, or with the Versamark, and then emboss it with the Sapphire Pearl from Recollections. That's that embossing powder. And this is all on the vellum. I wanted to be able to see the doily and the stamping underneath, and to be able to see all of the layers in this card. That's some ultra thick embossing powder. I've got some Regal Rose Stampin' Up ink, and I've got a little stamp that isn't a text heart stamp. That is, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember who made those. They're those little cheap stamps that you get. They're like $1 each, and I got a bunch of them last year. Studio G. And I'm just stamping all over. I'm also over stamping some of the hearts with the same rose ink in the background, just randomly. You can see the shimmer of that ink. It's beautiful. So now I'm going to start building all my layers. I'm going to cut out the library card. I really liked how this piece turned out. I had no idea what it was going to be when I started, and I just started playing, and it just came out really cute. I used ultra thick embossing powder, by the way, on that stamp. And because even though it's dye-based ink, because it was on vellum, it's so wet that the embossing powder will stick. So it made the whole heart shiny. This paper, I believe it's 7 Dot Studios. It's something I won in a challenge a year ago, and I just had this one sheet. So I'm going to put a layer inside the card, on the inside of the card here. I'm just going to attach that with the ATG gun. Then I pull another stamp from those Studio G stamps. I bought like the entire series of those stamps. And I think it was like 10 or 14 stamps, but for $14, I got a ton of stamps. I'm stamping inside the card with sepia VersaFine ink. VersaFine gives you the best image, the crispest, the most crisp image. It's an oil-based stamp. So when you want something that's really clear, you use VersaFine. That's a Martha Stewart punch. It's an old one. It makes just like a paper lace. I really love it. I've had it for years. So then I'm going to attach that there and put the doily over the top. And I think, oh, I want a little pink in the background. So I'm just going to put the scrap piece underneath of the doily so that you can, or the paper lace, so you can see it through. And the card is starting to come together here. So now I'm just fiddling with things to see where I want them placed. I have those 3 hearts, 3 stamped hearts. I'm going to put them there. I'm getting that doily attached. I put a little PVA glue, and these glue bottles, it gives a fairly fine line of glue, and they were super cheap. I think I got 6 of them for like $4 or something off of Amazon. And I know a lot of people are investing in the fine liner glue bottles, but these were really inexpensive, and I could just throw them away when I wanted to. So I decided I need to distress the edges of this so that it looks a bit like, you know, old paper. So that's tea-dye distressing, and I'm just distressing the outside of the library card on vellum. Just bending the edges up with my paintbrush. The stick on my paintbrush. And I'm fiddling with placement here. And I just put the glue behind that embossed saying because it doesn't show when you put it behind the embossed saying. And then I'm going ahead and distressing my little flowers, or my little hearts. And I decide I want to pop that 3rd heart up on foam tape. So I'm going to cover the entire back of it with foam tape. And so you can see I just put the foam tape on the back and then I cut around it. And there I've placed the flower, or the flower, the heart. And I've got some Stampin' Up! Grosgrain ribbon from, you know, probably 10 years ago. It's a little pale pink grosgrain. It's quite pretty. I'm going to put a little bow there. I think ribbon finishes a card so nicely. I know that it isn't as popular right now, but I love it and I have a ton of it. So I'm going to use it. And I love the soft dimension that ribbon offers. So I'm finishing up that bow and trimming the edges. And I'm going to use some fray check on that. And fray check just makes sure ribbon not fray out. It's not cheap. It's like $6 or $7 for that little bottle, but it lasts forever. You just put a tiny bit on there and it doesn't show. All right, here's the close-up. And I hope you enjoyed this Valentine's Day card process video. Have a nice day.